Okay, fingers crossed. Annika, it worked.
Of course it did. This meeting is being live streamed, so do you want to
So now we'll mute and you'll just put up the PowerPoint and then we'll IM when we want to get started.
So we should mute. Great.
Hi, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Lumberjack family chat. We are super excited that you are here today to join us. My name is Maggie Tom, and I am a program director here at NAU for the Family Access, Communication, Transition, and Support program. And I'm joined today by our Vice President of Enrollment Management, Annika Olson.
Thanks, Maggie. As Maggie mentioned, my name is Annika, and I work with an amazing team in enrollment management. And we're excited that you have joined us this afternoon. I too am sending my daughter to college in just a few weeks. So I am definitely in your shoes right now as well. So I'm so excited to be joining you and to answer some of the questions that were submitted in advance, as well as anything that comes in during the course of our time. I do want to shout out to both Micheline and Caroline. They're in our live chat on YouTube. So as questions come in, they are going to be sharing those with Maggie and myself so we can answer those live as well. Sometimes some of the questions submitted ahead of time create more questions as we begin to answer them, and we realize that. And we're going to be switching screens a little bit here and there to make sure we get you the information that you need, and we can help you navigate around some of the NAU sites. So you will have those available as well. All right, Maggie, should I just jump in with our first questions? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing real quick. So you'll just see Maggie and I larger on your screens, which may or may not be a good thing. But our first questions were all about housing. When does my student move in? How do we find out what to bring? How do we get dorm assignments? All of the things. So I am going to share with you, I'm going back to sharing screen now as I brought up our campus living website. So so what is showing right now on the screen is our campus living website. So if you're just in a Google browser, you can go NAU housing, and this is the main page of campus living that will pop up. If you scroll down, if you're living on campus, and it says move in details. So that's where you want to go. You can also go to the NAU main page, nau.edu, and type in move in details, and you will get this awesome calendar. And you will also get the 3 key move-in steps. Prepare for move-in. It's going to have a checklist of what you can bring. Some things you can't. Yes, those George Foreman grills and air fryers do need to stay at home. And then your student, through their housing portal, selects a move-in appointment. And so you can see there's 4 days of move-in, there's early move-in, and then honors college move-in is on both of these two days. And then you move to campus. So a huge reminder here for all things, you definitely want your student to regularly be checking their NAU email. For my new student, she went in and forwarded her email to the email that she checks all the time throughout the day. And so that's just a little tip. If your student hasn't done that yet, they'll want to do it. And so there's also a ton of videos here, preparing for move-in, packing smart, and your student, when they click schedule a move-in appointment, that will take them to our housing portal webpage to log in. This is the same portal they use to apply, fill out their preferences. They selected their meal plan preference here, which incidentally, if they would like, they could go in and shift to a different meal plan if they changed their mind. So this is the hub of all things campus living. Maggie, did I miss any of our questions that were submitted?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Great. So your student will pick their own move-in time. And one thing that often shocks people is that they're scheduled for a 1 hour move-in time. And move-in is one of the most amazingly orchestrated events, I think, anywhere. And this is true on a lot of campuses. We will direct you very specifically to a drop-off zone. Well, there'll be big wheelie bins where you can put all the stuff in, and there'll be students and team members, staff members there helping unload your car. And then we'll send you, so there'll be a temporary parking, and then we'll send you to a close by, more permanent parking place. And so you'll move all the stuff, take all the stuff out of the car, and put it up in the room during that hour. And then you have time after that to do all the setup and the decorating that your student may want to do. Cool. Okay.
All right. Do you want me to read our next question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question came in about what types of support does NAU offer for freshmen that are feeling homesick or alone? Is there a mental health coordinator or advocate? So what can we tell our parents about that?
Great question. Huge concern, I think, for all parents. We want to make sure our students feel like they're connecting. So a couple different things. We have community advisors, which are undergraduate, upper class students that live on the same floors of your students. So they're in the different halls. There also are full-time residence hall directors that are there to make sure programming is happening, that your students aren't just staying in their room and they're getting out. They also will help facilitate a roommate agreement. So just opening conversations between roommates to make sure that, you know, if one goes to bed early and one prefers to stay up late, that they're respectful of each other's choices. So that's kind of base level. The other thing I have peered up here is our PeerJacks mentoring. So again, if you go to the nau.edu homepage and just type in peer mentor, your student can sign up and say, yeah, I want to have a peer mentor. And so they can, our PeerJacks do different trips. You can meet some of them here. They connect students to resources. They're just a good person and resource for your student that is an upper class student. And so they can just go into this button and request a mentor today. And then their peer mentor will start reaching out to them in just a few weeks to make sure they're feeling comfortable. If there's any questions, they'll do some small group things. If your student prefers more of a one-on-one, that can all happen as well. I would also say when we're thinking about mental health, we also have 24/7 counseling services available to students and a ton of different health promotion events that really help students take a break, not only from class, but maybe their hall or their living situation and get out. So just a number of different events. The one that always stands out to me is they bring a bunch of puppies in and people that are animal people get to hang out and play with a bunch of puppies from our local shelters. So that's always a fun one that I hear our student team members always talking about. So that's one. And then certainly different things throughout finals week and that type of thing to lower stress. I would also encourage your student to check out the clubs and organization fair, which will happen the first weekend in the first couple of weeks of their time here as well. So a lot of information. When in doubt, reach out, right? You have students, students will take their time finding some connection, but we definitely want them to feel connected and that this is their home away from home.
Yeah, and a great way to do that, like Annika said at the beginning of the semester, is Welcome Week. So there's a ton of different events. Students can get acquainted with the different clubs and organizations that they might be interested in. They can make good friends that way. That's a really great way to keep up. Like Annika said, keep them not just holed up in their dorm rooms, but making friends, getting involved. We know that students that get involved do have greater rates of retention and graduation and happiness levels. And it's our goal that they feel like they belong on this campus. So we have a lot of resources to help them feel that way.
Great.
All right.
And another one that came in on the chat that I wanted to is there any form of on-campus public transportation? Yes, your student absolutely does not need a car their first year on campus and for actually all their years. We have multiple campus buses that arrive at bus stops throughout campus, throughout the day and evening, and students on their NAU Go app can track where they are. So if it's a little chilly outside or we happen to be getting a little snow, they can time their walk to the bus stop to get on right when it's rolling up. We also have the Mountain Line, which is our Flagstaff transportation system throughout the city of Flagstaff that has a main through fare right through the middle of campus. And so that students with their Jack's ID, with their ID card, can go throughout the west part of Flagstaff, which you got Target and you got Walmart and a ton of restaurants. So students are very easily able to get around on the bus system. We also have yellow bikes students can check out with a helmet at a couple different places on campus. I'm going to pull up that. Maggie just knew I was going to ask for that. So this is our yellow bike program. So you can see Louis right there on that bike. And that's through our campus services. So students can check out a bike if they want to get around campus and around Flagstaff.
Yes. So question just came in about, do certain classes require any materials beforehand? If so, how do we find out what materials the students need before class?
Great. So your student, probably a majority of them have their classes already. If not, don't worry, I'm going to take you through how your student can meet with an advisor in just a hot minute. But in their class schedule, in their Louis account, is where they can add and drop classes. It's where they can see balance due. It will be where they do all of their business on campus. So that's their Louis account, and that's where they log in with their Louis credentials, is what we call it. So that's their business center. And they can give you access to certain things in Louis, like class schedule, grades. Typically, students like to give family members access to how much, if there's a payment due, and the financial situation. So those are some of the things that parents too can look at in Louis. But I totally forgot the question. I was talking about Louis.
Oh, we were just talking about how they could find out what books they need.
Yes, books. So in Louis, in the class schedule, they can look to see what course materials are needed. And so they can direct link from Louis and put those in a cart at the NAU bookstore, or they can screenshot them and then search for what's required if they prefer using Amazon or other services outside of NAU. Students do that as well. They also can go directly to the main website and type in NAU bookstore. And then they can, again, log on with those credentials, and it'll kind of pre-populate for them what their required course materials are. It'll also show the ones that are suggested but not required, and then your student can kind of decide what they want to do from there. Our bookstore is really phenomenal about trying to keep costs super low, especially offering rentals. So students get a rental book and they can highlight, mark it up, and take notes just as they do if they own it, and then they return that book. And so it's a nice system as well.
All right. So moving into, I saw some questions in the chat, and a couple of the ones that were given to us ahead of time are around billing. So when is payments? When are they due? When is tuition due? When are we going to get an invoice? And we do have it on record from our student and departmental account services. The invoices will be going out on Monday, so you should be seeing those soon. There are other ways for you to look at that as well. Your student can look at their Louis account to find their account balance and what is due, but those invoices will go out next week.
And again, in your students, when those go out, your student can log into Louis and see the same bill that you'll get in the mail, and then they can give you access. And so you'll get an email saying you've been added, and then you create your own credentials to be able to see that moving forward. It's very easy. If I can figure it out, I'm sure any of you can.
Yes, and the website for that is nau.edu/SDAS. If you want to find out how to set yourself up as a payment provider. They have a bunch of videos on their website to walk you through that. Next question is about advising. So when do students choose their classes and get their schedules? How do they select their classes?
Great. So this is our university advising webpage. So if you, again, nau.edu, type in advising, you're going to land on this page. And for new students, you can go scroll down and new incoming students page. And again, 3 easy steps that need to occur. Complete priority enrollment. That gives the academic advising team just more up-to-date information, how your student completed high school, because when they applied, maybe back in the fall or early spring, some of that information may have changed. They may have decided to pick up a community college class or not this summer. And so they have the opportunity, maybe they decided to switch their majors. All of that can happen in priority enrollment. If your student did that already, but hasn't done anything else, they need to go through an online module. It's pretty quick, getting them ready for their advising, and then they can move ahead and schedule that advising appointment. So again, 3 easy steps and additional information below here, and link out to how to do that. And honor students have a separate advising model, and then they'll schedule a 30-minute appointment to finalize their schedule with the advising team. There also are walk-in hours if you happen to live nearby Flagstaff, and there's also call-in hours if you're a little further away and can't make the trip. So lots of different ways to make sure you're taking care of business and getting that class schedule.
All right, next question has to do with meal plans. Are meal plans required for first-year students? Yes, they are. If your student lives on campus, they are required to have a meal plan. We can put the meal plan office website in the chat for you. They're really great. They can answer all of your questions about which meal plan your student should choose, the differences, pros, cons of each one of those. What is next? Okay.
And the other piece on meal plans, I would say, is what happens often is students say, oh my gosh, I am gonna get a bunch of snacks and have them in my residence hall room. Each of our residence halls do have full kitchen, they're shared, and they're gonna do it that way. So they might get the 10 meal a week plan with dining dollars, which is a declining balance that they can use at different locations and convenience store type places around campus. And then they get into their first week of classes and they're like, oh, heck, I really like to stop at Jamba and get my smoothie in the morning. That can be used on the meal plan. And then I meet my study group in the hot spot for lunch. So I really am eating those 10 meals Monday through Friday. I think I want to up to the 14. The 14 meal plan is the most popular for our new students living on campus. And they have the ability to switch that meal plan in the first 2 weeks of classes. So gives them, so even though they picked one when they applied for housing, in that housing portal and in that housing application, again, they can change it now. they can change it up until and through those first 2 weeks of classes.
Yes, I was an NAU student and I had the 14. This was like 16 years ago, but it was great. Lots of options on campus, way more options now than we had then. Okay, next question, very popular, scholarships, financial aid, our favorite topic. So question is, academic scholarships cover tuition. If tuition goes up, will the academic scholarship still cover that increase?
So one of our academics tuition scholarships, the Lumberjack, does cover full tuition. And if tuition goes up, it will continue to cover full tuition. The other scholarships, in fact, a majority of our scholarships don't cover full tuition. And so that if tuition goes up, then those would be the same. I will say though, however, we look at tuition increases, and we have a cap on what we can increase tuition, and it's 3.5%. And so we will never increase in more than 3.5% any given year. So it allows you to be planful in that way. And we also consistently each year review our tuition dollar amount as costs do change, and we're kind of living in a time in the world where costs are shifting and changing, and we're all settling in, I think, maybe not, and they'll continue to change. And so we're each year we look at those scholarship amounts and adjust accordingly. So kind of a yes and a no there answer on that question a little bit.
Great. Now we'll go ahead and walk you through the financial aid disbursement process. I know we got a lot of questions surrounding my student needs to buy books. How are they going to get that money? And that depends on if they have a financial aid refund coming. So financial aid typically disperses 10 days prior to the start of the term. I would encourage you to encourage your students to double check their Louis account to make sure that they don't have any holds that would prevent that financial aid from dispersing. So it's great to maybe even right when you get off of this, have your student jump on the computer and double check their Louis account for any holds that could prevent their financial aid from dispersing. So if their financial aid package covers all of their costs, so that would be tuition, fees, room, and meal plan, if there's anything left over after that, that money will be refunded to the student. This is another place where we would encourage your student to set up direct deposit through student and departmental account services. That way, if they do get a refund, it goes straight into their bank account rather than having to wait 15 or more, I guess, days for a physical check in the mail. So if you have leftover funds from your financial aid that are refunded to you, oftentimes students will use that money for school supplies and books, things like that. Did I miss anything there, Annika?
No, I know this feels like a ton of information. It really is all in your student's Louis account. So they'll see a to-do list, and that to-do list or a hold might say, submit your final high school transcripts. That's usually the number one hold of why a new student's aid doesn't disperse. We do need that final high school transcript with their graduation on it. Many high schools across the country ask their seniors, where do you want it sent? And we already have it. And we're in the process of processing those. Those were all kind of due at the beginning of July. Don't worry if you've missed that, we can still take them and happily will do so. And that's, we have to have that. That's a federal government regulation that we have that before we disperse aid. So that's not an NAU thing. It's a federal government thing. So we do need that final high school transcript. But again, it'll be listed on your in your student's Louis account. One thing that I've done with my new student is sit down with her and have her pull up her email, and just to make sure there's not any, kind of to-do items in there. And we've gotten to the point where she'll check it and she might say, oh, I'll say, oh, did you get your final high school transcript? Oh, yep. School already sent it. Great. Did you get your dual enroll transcript sent? Oh, no, I didn't do that one. So, just kind of asking some of those questions and coaching them to really take the lead there, because they have the login credentials and and can opt to give you access if they choose. But, kind of coaching them and being alongside them, especially when they're still with you prior to classes beginning.
Yes, and speaking of being a coach to your student, we do have a really exciting new resource this year. We created a first year family calendar, and that is going to walk you through your student's first year of college month by month. And each month has resources that your student might utilize that month, kind of talks you through what they might be going through that month. It gives you some tips for coaching and mentoring them through their first year of school, as well as some conversation starters to get, them talking about, well, have you thought about spring classes, or FAFSA is going to open in December. Maybe we should put some time on the calendar to do that when you're home for winter break. So we will share that link in the chat as well, but that's a great resource to kind of help you take on your new role of coach and mentor of your student. All right, look at some other, let's talk about jobs on campus. So that's exciting. We love our student workers so much.
I often tell people on campus and our visitors, our offices simply wouldn't run without our student team members, and it really helps us it helps remind me, I won't speak for everyone on campus, of why I'm here, and it's about the whole experience, and so many of our students choose to work while they're on campus for extra spending money or to help pay for their costs. We have an amazing app called Handshake. So if you, again, website, nau.edu, and just type in Handshake, it's a listing of both on and off campus jobs. Your student will be asked to create a profile using their Louis login, where they can upload a resume and search for current openings. And now is a great time because we start posting those because so many offices hire in the first couple of weeks of the term, and some try to do some early hiring at about this time in the summer, so students can move in and kind of jump in with both feet in terms of working on campus. So our residence halls have front desk assistants that help manage the hall and answer questions for residents, check out kitchen equipment, lots of different things. Our office and enrollment management, we welcome visitors to campus and give tours. We also call students and parents to say, congratulations, your student's been admitted, answer email, lots of different functions throughout campus.
We have some questions about disability resources and when they would be good if a student had a 504 plan in high school.
Great question. My student too requires some accommodations in high school. I would say now is a great time to reach out to start that process to make sure your student has what they need to be successful. Oftentimes old 504 plans or IEPs need to be submitted. Our disability resource office will do their own intake. They'll assign a DR advisor to your student. So again, probably one of the team members in the chat can put that link in the YouTube chat. But I would say start that process now. Oftentimes students wait until they're here on campus or even into their classes to do that. And that's, we want to make sure they're set up for success from day one. So I would start that process now. And yeah, thank you for putting that in the chat.
Right. Else here. So the Lumberjack Family Hub is something that we would encourage all of you to sign up for. That is our family portal. It contains resources for both college preparedness, so prospective lumberjacks. It also has ample information for our current Lumberjack families. We like to joke around with families that everything your student might forget to tell you is going to be posted in the Lumberjack Family Hub. We have events in there, we have resources, we have newsletters that go out, announcements, ways for you to stay engaged with campus so you know what's going on, important dates and deadlines. We also have information within the Lumberjack Family Hub translated into Spanish as well. So if you are more comfortable reading in Spanish or someone in your family is, they'll be able to utilize the hub as well for a bunch of updates. So that is a resource that we have specifically for families of our Lumberjacks that we're really excited about. And they will put the link in the chat as well on how you can sign up for that. Let me go through the chat.
There's a couple questions about the Lumberjack Scholarship. You'll see that'll be dispersed 10 days prior to your student's account, and it covers the cost of tuition. So the honors college tuition is the same as others. There is an honors fee that the Lumberjack only covers tuition. Any other aid that your student may have been awarded above that would then go and pay that honors college fee, but tuition is the same between honors and other students as well.
Great. What about campus safety? How can parents and family members stay apprised of what's going on campus?
Great question. So I mentioned that NAU Go app that you too, as a student, as a family member, can download and set up a profile as a parent. And so and then you can set up your alerts in the app and determine what alerts you want to receive. And so, for example, one that in Flagstaff during record snowfall this last winter, we seem to get quite a few NAU Go alerts saying campus was closed due to snow. And so that's just an example of one safety feature we have. All of our residence halls are locked 24/7 and require a student's ID card. So whether your student chooses to have their ID card in an actual card, or mine's on my phone. And so when I go into a locked area like my office, I just hold up my phone and it unlocks. So it's very convenient. So your student can choose to either have a physical card or a digital one, whether they're iPhone or Android, to access those. So a couple different safety features. We also have a phenomenal police department, NAU police department here on campus that do a lot of preventative crime workshops and conversations with students, like don't prop your residence hall doors. If that happens, an alarm does go off. So it doesn't happen too much anymore, but back before the digital entry, that did happen. And so you'll see our police officers around campus at different campus events, asking students questions and making sure, that when they leave their residence hall room to go down, just to maybe refill their water bottle or something like that, or go down to the kitchen to grab something, making sure they're locking their doors behind them or shutting their doors. And so they'll kind of coach them through a lot of that as well. We also have, like many other campuses, a series of blue lights around campus that are connected directly to our police department dispatch. And so if there is an emergency situation, there's various ways that are very convenient on that Go app as well as the phones that are physically around campus. I think if, I hear the safety question asked to students frequently, whether it's in a student panel or a campus visit. And I don't think I've ever heard a student answer saying, I don't feel safe. I am smart when I'm moving about campus, particularly if it's late at night. We have campus safety aides that through NAU Police, it is one of our student jobs on campus, actually, they travel in pairs and make sure students, if they're feeling like they don't want to walk from the library back to their residence hall, that 2 campus safety aides will walk with them. So lots of different safety measures, but again, you know, students need to be aware of their surroundings, just like you probably have already shared with them as family members as they're navigating their young adult life already.
Yes, definitely. Some other questions around if students need to get down to Phoenix to visit family. Do we have any suggestions on how they might do that?
So many different options. My oldest is down in Tucson attending school, and he takes the Flix bus. It's FLIX. It goes to all the college campuses in Arizona, up and down, and I think it's like outside of Arizona as well. We also have a shuttle services that drops off in many locations near NAU, but also 2 locations right on campus. So students literally can hop on that shuttle and head to multiple locations down in the greater Phoenix area. Certainly Sky Harbor is a popular one. And you can book that in advance. And the name of the shuttle company is completely escaping me right now, of course, while I'm live, but I'm sure someone can find it for me. I'll look too.
There is a shuttle. Yes, there's a couple shuttles. One that goes straight right outside our recreation HLC.
Right.
Yeah, let me Google it. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Another question is recommended computers, laptops.
So I would definitely, you know, as an educational institution, similar to other educational institutions, we get educational pricing in our bookstore is online as well as in the physical store. And I would say whatever your student is most comfortable with, I wouldn't necessarily recommend saying, oh, you've been a Mac kid your whole life and now you should, you know, be Windows. Some of them want to go the other direction too, but it's really where their comfort level is and what laptop they would choose to have. So many students now do it on their phone. It's just phenomenal to me. There are some computer labs throughout campus. We also have a laptop loan program through our library. Again, it's a loan. Some students have the ability to have their own laptop. So whatever works for you and your student and your family. I would definitely hop on either the NAU bookstore, check prices there, and you know, in terms of memory and all the things to make sure it's what your student needs. Now, certainly for students that we have both Mac and PCs in the labs too.
And as your student reaches higher grades in college, they might need different things, and they can work with their professors. Their professors are usually really good if a student needs a specific you know, camera for photography or things like that. So encourage them to reach out to their professors as well. Groom, is the shuttle? Yes, you guys found it faster than I did.
I was like,
thank you.
Someone's gonna say it. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yes, a couple of the families in the chat knew that right off the bat. Okay, how would I go about checking my current balance that's due after financial aid grants and scholarships are applied? So you can do that in a number of ways. We do have a really neat net price calculator that you can go in and put in all of your current awards, and that will help you do the math so you can budget on what is left over and how to pay that. I would encourage you again to reach out to Student and Departmental Account Services to look at payment plans. So if you do still have a balance that is due after your financial aid and scholarships have been applied, we do offer payment plans. So that is a great thing to get settled before school starts as well. Those would be my 2 suggestions for that question.
And I'm gonna share screen because we have a worksheet that, like, sometimes you just like to write it all down and know what it is. So I am going to go back to a screen share situation here. And so this is our budget worksheet, budgeting for college. And so it walks you through paying for college guide, the cost calculator, and what ultimately will be owed after your financial aid. So you'll have to fill in some of that. Again, it can all be found on the Louis account. Because bills come out Monday, you'll see that statement. And then there's also in Louis, you'll see anticipated financial aid. And so that will help with all of that. If you go, so it's the budget worksheet, and you can, and as you saw, once you clicked on that, Brant, who was on that video screenshot in there, kind of talks through how to go about that. So a great resource to have right on that financial aid website.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions. What about tutoring?
Great question. There's lots of free tutoring on campus through our academic success centers. That hub is right in the Union, very near that Peer Jacks, which we showed you that website earlier. And they could also ask their, if they chose to get a Peer Jacks peer mentor, they can ask them exactly where that is. There's locations on South Campus and Central Campus. It also is often noted in the syllabus, which is kind of the academic document that students receive in their first couple days of classes. Talks about what the learning objectives are for the course, oftentimes gives key test dates and assignment due dates. Also talks about how to access resources for out-of-class help and office hours for professors. And so those are hours that a professor has typically in their office location on campus that is open time for students to kind of walk in and ask any questions. And I would strongly encourage you to encourage your student to attend office hours in the first few weeks of classes. Professors always appreciate that effort and engagement from students. So that is definitely a tip to pass along.
Yes, definitely. Okay, what about internships, thinking about long-term career opportunities, resume building? Where can students go for that?
So resume building, we have a career services office right in our central Union where all of our big dining facilities are in the central part of campus, or a number of our retail dining locations are. So that would be the first stop. And then as students are getting into their sophomore and junior years, colleges, each individual college, so if they're a business major, for example, the WA Franke College of Business hosts a fall and spring career and internship fair. So whether your student's thinking about going on to get maybe an MBA or go to law school or go straight into the workforce, all would be represented there. And so those are available, but starting point certainly for new students would be our career services. They can help you with that resume, cover letter, mock interviews. We even have a career closet where students maybe aren't coming to school with interview gear. There's a career closet where students can select items in their size to take from that career closet, or maybe they just need a nice, scarf or accessory or a blazer or something like that they don't have. So that's another amazing service that we have.
Yes, and speaking of other services, we also have something called the Care Center here on campus. That's an amazing resource for students if they're not sure where to start. If they have a problem, they have one-on-one appointments that they can have there. We also hold our Lumberjack Louis cupboard in there. That is our student food pantry. It is also completely student run. So if your student is interested in volunteering or getting engaged, that's a really great place to go. They do coat drives and sock drives and different things like that. So I would highly recommend checking out our Lumberjack Care Center. They can help students navigate if, they have an absence, working with their professor on that, different things like that. They're really great student advocates. So your student is not sure where to go when they have a problem, highly recommend starting with the care center, and they can help point your student to where they need to go. In addition, Parent and Family Services is also housed within the care center. So that is your resource. So again, if you don't know where to go on campus, you can contact Parent and Family Services and we'll help connect you on campus as well. What else is in here? Let's see. Athletics. Do you know, Annika, if a student wanted to try for a walk-on or a tryout for an NAU athletics team, who they might contact?
Yeah, on the athletics website, which I can pull up now, I'm just trying to catch up in chat as well. There are, well, the coaches are listed there. So I'm gonna go athletics, and you can find the sport and navigate to the coach and send them an email and or phone them or do both. So if it's a fall sport, I would definitely do that sooner rather than later. So you can see, I'm looking for it. Let's just pick one here. It's basketball. Find it right now, of course, while we're in here. There is in the Inside Athletics tab a contact us, so you can contact each coach individually. So that would be my suggestion. They may ask your student, my student is, when she goes to college, is going to be an athlete as well. They might ask, or you might have already done this, asked high school coach to write an email and then follow up with a phone call. That seems to gain some traction, and especially if there's stats involved, whether it's my student is a track and field person, so we sent stats that way. So lots of different options, but reach out directly to the coaching staff.
Yes. Another thing that we would like to mention in this has to do with you being able to look at your students' academic information. As soon as your student starts college here in just about a month, they will be under what we call FERPA. So that is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. And I won't bore you with the history behind that, but what it means is that once your student comes to college, all of their educational records are theirs. So if anybody wants to look at their educational records, that includes financial aid information, grades, GPA, we have to have written consent from the student in order to share that information. So we would recommend that you look at our registrar's website and get a FERPA waiver filled out this summer. If you would like access to view those records, you will need to send a request, and your student can either decide to approve, deny, edit, what access you can have to their records. So that's a great conversation to have. All of that will be housed within the Lumberjack Family Hub. So you'll be able to see if your student approves that request, all of the information in this pretty table in the Lumberjack Family Hub. So that is another thing that we recommend getting in line prior to starting.
The other thing that I saw in chat is how I would like someone to walk me through this financial aid business. Can a financial aid advisor contact me? So I would recommend, and if one of the people that's in chat can just quote me on this phone number, I would recommend phoning in 928-523-4951. You also could email myself or Maggie directly. On the screen, you see my name. It's Annika. My email is annika.olson nau.edu. Maggie's is maggie.tom. Not her middle name, at nau.edu. So you can just email like, hey, I was on the family chat, have some questions about financial aid, and we will directly connect you with one of our team members that will reach out, schedule some time so they can walk you through it. We know it's confusing. We know it's new. Again, my son who's down in Tucson, like every time I get an email saying, here's Aiden's account, I click on it, I'm like, okay, wait, where do I need to go again? And I've been doing this for a while. So it is confusing. We're here to walk you through it. So that phone number again is 928-523-4951. We also have our one-stop shop. So when you move your student in, we will be here you can literally walk in and one of our team members will sit down with you too. And that's in the SAS building, Student and Academic Services building, is right next to the bookstore. And if you came for a campus visit orientation, that was kind of the main hub of activity where you went to check in.
Yes. And for the question that just came in about accepting your subsidized or unsubsidized loan, the student does do that through their Louis account. There are a couple follow-up items. If you choose to accept federal loans, you can decide the amount that you want to take, so you do not have to take the full amount that is offered to you. So the budget sheets that Annika talked about are great to go through before you decide to do that. There are federal requirements. You have to do a master promissory note and entrance counseling before those loans will disperse. So those will be on your Louis to-do list if you do decide to accept your sub and unsub loans. All right. Do we have any last minute? We have about 8 minutes left. Any last minute questions on things that we didn't cover? Annika, anything that you can think of that these families might need to know about NAU?
No, but Maggie was taking bets on whether I would cry during our family chat today because I have been my daughter, as I mentioned, she's an athlete. She's going out of state because of the athlete component. And so I've been very much counting. 3 weeks from today, I take her out. So I know this is kind of a changing time, not only for your student, they're probably feeling all sorts of different emotions, whether they choose to share them or not with you, as are you, as their support system. And we're here to really partner with you to ensure your student success. We want you to feel a part of the Lumberjack family as well. So if you forget everything we said tonight, just know that you can always pick up the phone or email one of us, and we will make sure, if we don't have the information at our fingertips, to make sure we find it for you and connect with you. That family hub that Maggie mentioned, definitely a great source of information. And our team and family services just does an amazing job making sure that you are informed, even though you may not be with your student physically. We want to make sure you're there with us, encouraging them along. So yeah, we look forward to welcoming them next month. I can't believe we're already almost there.
I know, it went really fast. Yes, indeed. Just to echo what Annika said, we're here for you. Super excited to welcome you also into the Lumberjack family, not just your student. You're also an NAU Lumberjack in our eyes. Whatever we can do to help you, support you, we are here to do that. This was recorded, so if you do feel like watching it again, it will be here at the same link. If there's anything that you missed that you want to go back, and I think that's all I have.
Great. Thank you all. Have a great
Thank you all so much. Bye.
Bye.